Vienna, 1907. A young man sits at a desk and draws. He draws every day, obsessively, carefully. He dreams of becoming a great artist. He dreams of the academy, of exhibitions, of eternity. His name is Adolf Hitler. 36 years later, his name will become a synonym for the greatest crime in human history. But on that October day in Vienna, he simply wanted to paint. Today, we tell the story of the artist, not the dictator, the artist, who he wanted to be, why he failed, and how that failure may have changed the course of civilization.
Vienna, at the turn of the 20th century, is a city alive with art. Klimt has just finished The Kiss. Schiele shocks audiences with raw emotion. Mahler conducts at the opera. Freud analyzes dreams. Into this world, in 1905, arrives a 16-year-old from the provincial town of Linz. His name is Adolf Hitler. He has come here for one reason: to become an artist. He paints every day, almost always architecture, buildings, facades, streets. Notably, there are almost never any people in his paintings. Architecture without souls, space without humanity. His closest friend, August Kubizek, describes him as a man of burning dreams and an almost complete inability to act on them. His mother, Clara, adored her son. She believed in his talent. She gave him money, supported his ambitions. But in December 1907, Clara dies of breast cancer at the age of 47. A witness will later say he had never seen a young man weep so uncontrollably from grief. But before that moment, something important had already happened, something that would define everything that followed. September 1907. An 18-year-old submits his application to the Academy of Fine Arts in Vienna, one of the most prestigious art institutions in the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The competition is fierce. Of 289 applicants, only 28 are accepted. Hitler does not make it past the first round. The Academy's official response was brief: drawing satisfactory, too few heads. In other words, his depictions of people, of figures, of faces were not strong enough. He could draw buildings well, but the human being remained a mystery to him. The Academy's director, seeing his portfolio, suggested he try the architecture faculty, but that required a secondary school diploma, which Hitler never completed. He tried again, 1908, the Academy, rejection again. This time, he wasn't even admitted to the examination. The jury dismissed his work at the preliminary stage. Rejected twice, at 20 years old. No diploma, no mother, no money, no future. What does a young person feel when they are told, "You are not good enough," especially if they have believed in their exceptional talent their entire conscious life? Later, in Mein Kampf, Hitler will write about this moment, but he will not tell the truth. He will portray himself as a victor who chose to leave art behind for a higher calling, a lie that will become the template for everything that follows.
After the second rejection, money runs out quickly. By autumn 1909, Hitler is on the street, literally. He sleeps in homeless shelters, eats at free soup kitchens, begs for change, but he does not stop painting. Together with a new acquaintance, Reinhold Hannisch, they devise a scheme. Hitler paints souvenir watercolors of Viennese landmarks. Hannisch sells them to tourists and picture framers. This is not art, it is craft, postcard work, but it keeps him fed. And it is here, in this men's hostel, that something important happens. Hitler begins to read, heavily, chaotically, pan-German pamphlets, anti-Semitic newspapers, racial hierarchy theories fashionable in certain Viennese circles. He does not systematize these ideas, he absorbs them. Later he will say that Vienna is where his worldview was formed. And that is true, but not in the way he wants us to understand it. Not through spiritual enlightenment, but through the bitterness of a rejected man searching for someone to blame for his failures. If I was rejected, then someone must have stood in my way. If I could not succeed, then I was not given the chance. The logic of the wronged, the logic that seeks an enemy.
Now let's speak honestly about the paintings themselves. How bad were they, really? The answer is nuanced. Hitler had technical skills. He genuinely could draw buildings. His perspective was accurate, his details neat. Later art historians analyzing these works agree this is the level of a talented amateur or a solid first-year student, but nothing more. There is no feeling in his works, no inner life. Buildings stand like mannequins, the sky as backdrop. Even on the rare occasions when figures appear, they look like silhouettes, not people. Here is the paradox. Vienna, at the start of the 20th century, is the epicenter of artistic modernism. Klimt, Schiele, Kokoschka, artists tearing down every convention, painting the human being from the inside, through distortion, through raw emotion. And Hitler paints like a 19th century photographer, precise, cold, soulless. His artistic thinking was fundamentally conservative. He despised modernism, despised abstraction, despised everything he called degenerate art, which once he gained power, he would persecute and destroy. This is crucial. His artistic taste was not simply poor, it was ideological. He did not understand modern art and therefore hated it, and then banned it and burned it. Imagine a man who could not enter an art academy spent 30 years deciding which art had the right to exist in Germany and destroyed everything that reminded him of his own inadequacy.
And now, the most uncomfortable question of this video. What if the Academy had accepted Hitler? This is not mere fantasy. It is a question taken seriously by historians and philosophers alike. If he had been admitted, he would have become one of thousands of mediocre artists that Vienna produced and forgot every year. Perhaps he would have painted souvenir postcards for the rest of his life. Perhaps he would have found a niche in commercial illustration. But the crucial point, he would not have gone into politics. Because a person who finds expression in creativity does not seek power over others. Because a person who feels like an artist, even a mediocre one, does not transform personal grievance into state ideology. Of course, this is a simplification. Nazism did not arise from one man alone. The Weimar Republic, the Treaty of Versailles, economic collapse, deep anti-Semitic traditions, all of this existed independently. But the Netflix series Hitler and the Nazis, Evil on Trial makes a powerful argument. Personality matters. His specific charisma, his pathological will, his capacity for manipulation, these were qualities of one particular human being. And if that human being had found his place in art, the entire configuration of history might have shifted. (1907) Vienna. A young man draws a building. Accurately, correctly, coldly. The committee looks at the drawing and says, "Too few heads, too few people." They were right, but not only about the drawing. If this rejection teaches us anything, it is not that we should be kinder to failures, and not that art school saves the world.
It teaches us how dangerous a person becomes when they feel unseen and unvalued and choose to find enemies instead of answers. How personal trauma, multiplied by charisma and power, becomes catastrophe for millions. Hitler wanted immortality through art. He achieved immortality through evil. This is not the irony of fate. This is a warning.